A very warm welcome to everyone who already joined us today. This is the second session of the Esmwf Summer of Weather Code Ask Me Anything session. My name is Julia Wagemann, and together with Esperanza Quatero, I'm the program coordinator of Esmwf Summer of Weather Code. And this session is really about giving you information about Esmwf Summer of Weather Code, how it works, how you can be part of Esoc, and also you will get some experience, or you will hear some experiences from past participants who were part of Esoc in last year in 2020. And then the third part of the session is basically about you, because then we have a Q&A session where you can ask us any question you have about Esoc, about any challenge you already saw on GitHub, and this is basically today we are here to respond, or to respond to any questions you have. Before we start, I ask you to go to slido.com and then enter the hashtag Esoc, ESoWC. And this is specifically for the Q&A session at the end. This is the place where you can ask your questions, and then we will share the Slido dashboard, and we go through any question you pose, you ask on Slido. And with this, I will start introducing you to the Esmwf Summer of Weather Code. It is a innovation program which promotes open source development and which runs every year during the summer for a 4-month period from May to end of August, with the aim to bring together Esmwf staff and mentors, and also software developers, data wranglers, machine learning experts, and cloud computing experts to work together on innovative open source softwares, open source software. And this year we have 3 different streams under which you can submit a proposal. And how Esoc works is that from Esmwf and Copernicus staff, we propose challenges and projects we would like to work on, and then you can submit a solution to this challenge we propose. And the projects or challenges we propose this year are under 3 streams. And the first stream is software development for weather, climate, and atmosphere. Stream 2 is machine learning for weather, climate, and atmosphere applications. And stream 3 is visualizing weather, climate, and atmosphere data. And we propose this year 13 challenges on GitHub. I will show you in a minute how you find the challenges that are proposed on GitHub. And then in the end, we will select up to 10 projects. And so to any challenge on GitHub, you can submit a proposal, and up to 10 projects will be selected. And for the teams who are part of Esoc, which will be in the end 10 teams, if you go through the coding period until the end of August, and you meet all the deliverables and milestones as agreed together with your mentors, then you will be eligible for a stipend of £5,000. And additionally, some projects or challenges, you will also have access to cloud credits from either the Wikio platform, which is the Copernicus data information and access service, or the European Weather Cloud. And if a challenge is eligible for cloud credits, we ask you to go to GitHub, because then we specifically identify the challenges where you will have access to cloud credits. And yes, how does it work? There are 4 steps from the application period to the final Esoc day in the end. So the first step is the application period, and this is the period where we are at the moment. So the application phase opened on 1st of February and the applications are due on 16th of April. So until the 16th of April, you have time to browse through the challenges. Also very important to go on GitHub, already ask any specific questions you have for the challenges and tailor your proposal, and then submit your proposal until the 16th of April. And this is one important aspect one important advice we give you. I just jump out shortly and will show you how it works and how you can engage on the challenges. So if you go to github.com/esoc/challenges_2021, this is the repository with all the information related to the Esmwf summer of weather code. And under issues, you see the 13 challenges we propose for this year. And there is also you see here the different streams under which each challenge is listed. And if you click on an issue here, then you get more information about a challenge. And here, for example, you get the goal of the challenge, a challenge description, the mentors who will be involved, and also specific skills that are required for this challenge. And this is the space where you can already start engaging. So this is a challenge where no one engaged yet, but we have other challenges where already some interested parties started asking questions or also show their interest. And this is basically where you can start or already engaging with the Esmwf mentors, and they will also reply to questions if it is related to the challenge or related also to your proposal or solution. And this really helps you in the end to tailor your proposal specifically to the challenge that is proposed here. And now I go back to the presentation. And yeah, and so like one very important step is the step to go on GitHub and already engage and start a discussion with the mentors on GitHub. And again, the submission deadline for your proposal is the 16th of April this year. Some tips on what makes a good proposal. So some people or some think that the longer the proposal, the more content, the better, which we wouldn't advise, because in the end, if mentors and teams have to go through pages of long documentation, it is not very goal oriented. So we actually advise you that the best proposal are not the longest. They are actually well structured and precise, and are really made an effort to be precise in describing their solution, and are really short. So like 2 to up to 4 pages long. One important aspect is also that the solution that is proposed or that is proposed by you should be technically feasible within 4 months. Even if you have an idea of a longer project for Esoc, please remember the coding period is 4 months, and this is also what we evaluate the proposals on. Is the solution you propose be feasible and also to be implemented in 4 months, and is it feasible? And then another important aspect is that please include a clear timeline, including milestones and also deliverables defined, because this helps us also to evaluate if you understand the scope of the solution you propose, and also again that you understand if the different steps for your solution, and if you understand if this is also technically feasible within 4 months. So it is well structured, short and precise. It should be technically feasible within 4 months, and your proposal should have a clear timeline with milestones and deliverables defined. An example structure of a proposal is, yes, it should have a brief description of the problem to be solved. So this also allows the mentors to see if you understand the problem of the challenge. Then a short description of your proposed solution. There important is also that you should specify any tools you aim to use, you would like to use, any data you would like to use for the challenge, please specify it there. Then the key milestones and deliverables, a clear timeline, and then important also, please indicate a short paragraph how you plan to share the project outcomes at the end. Step 2, this is then the announcement of the selected proposal. So between the 16th of April and the 30th of April, we will precisely evaluate all the proposals that are submitted to Esoc. And on 30th of April, we will announce the 10 teams who will be part of this year's ECMWF Summer of Weather Code edition. And this is basically, we will announce this on the 30th of April, and so if you are part of Esoc, you will be, of course, informed by us. Even if you submitted a proposal and you were not selected, we will also inform you about the outcome. But in the meantime, we also ask you, if you're on Twitter, please follow us on Esoc_ECMWF, because there we will provide any updates to the program. Step 3 is then the coding phase, and this is the heart of ECMWF Summer of Weather Code. The coding phase is always 4 months, and this year it runs from the 3rd of May until 31st of August. And this is a period where if you're part of Esoc, where the teams team up with experienced mentors from ECMWF and Copernicus and work together on the challenges and solutions proposed. And this is, and for anyone interested, Esoc is about open source development, and so you can also follow all the projects that are part of ECMWF Summer of Weather Code on GitHub, and you can also follow the progress the projects are doing during this coding phase. And then the final step is the final Esoc day, which is for now scheduled on the 29th of September. It is still, it is subject to change, but for now it will be around second half of September when we plan to have the final Esoc day. And this is really a day where the project teams, the mentors and the Esoc teams of this year will have an opportunity to present what they have been working on and presenting their results of their projects. This will be a virtual event this year, but it will be live streamed. And so anyone who is interested can also join and see what has been developed during this year's edition of ECMWF Summer of Weather Code. And yes, as I already said, all the challenges are listed and described on GitHub, and you can go there on github.com/esoc/challenges_2021. And during the application phase, GitHub is also the place where you should be, where you get all the information you need in order to be successful in submitting a proposal for Esoc, and any other information related to Esoc, and also where you can in the end submit your proposal and apply to be part of Esoc is on our website, and this is esoc.ecmwf.int. And with this, I would like to just remind you, please follow us on Twitter with Esoc_ECMWF. And yes, the deadline for submitting your proposals is the 16th of April 2021. And with this, I would like to open the floor to the 2 participants who are joining us today, who were part of Esoc last year. It is Roshni Biswas and Timo Kelder. And I now hand over first to Roshni, who will let you know how how her experience was in participating ESoC. And I warmly welcome Roshni, and the floor is yours.
Hello, my name is Roshni, and I am one of the past participants of Esoc from 2020. And I'm here to share my experience during the Esoc program, what I worked on, and why I would highly recommend you to also apply to Esoc 2021. So I have a couple of slides that I will share. I hope you all can see my screen. All right. So during ESOC 2020, I worked on a project called DeepGEF, which focuses on better predictions of wildfire danger and wildfire spread dynamics. We were a team of 3 having a background of engineering, and we have varied skills and prior experience in scientific software development, machine learning and AI, all proficient in coding in Python. Having developed models in frameworks like PyTorch or TensorFlow in the past. And we also had a bit of experience handling these large geospatial data sets. Some of them are high resolution satellite observed imagery. And require knowledge of the Earth observation nuances. But all of that helped, and we figured that the 3 of us were quite leveraging our past skills and able to handle a project like this. We found out about ESOC on Twitter, and it happens that the Ecmwf and ESOC community is very active on social media and are constantly sharing the workshops at Ecmwf, or these kind of AMAs or programs like ESOC. So that was very helpful, and we in particular found ESOC very exciting because firstly, it's open source, and contributing to open source is always awesome. We also got the opportunity to contribute to real world impactful problems, and all of the challenges at ESOC are so impactful, and you basically contribute to the impactful projects in climate change, in improvements in Earth observation, and benefiting from the mentorship from the ESOC scientists who are also brilliant and helpful in terms of guiding us during the project, and also access to these high performance computing solutions like the European Weather Cloud and Wakio really enabled us to perform well during the project, because in machine learning and deep learning, these computing resources are really essential. Coming to the application proposal, I think we spent quite a bit of time just understanding the problem itself. While there is a challenge page on GitHub, we had to perform like a very extensive literature review to understand what kind of solutions are already in place or at ECMWF, which we can borrow ideas from and then improve. So we first understood the problem, asked questions on the issues page, and once we had a good understanding, we formed like a timeline of how those 4 months of the development period would go, and how much of the goals that we have would be feasible within the ESOC timeline. So we drafted this plan with very quantifiable goals and deliverables, and made a proposal with all the references that we had used to form it. And the experience itself was fantastic. So once we got selected, we started talking to our mentors. We got added to a Slack. The entire team was globally distributed. Like all 3 of us team members were on 3 different continents, and so were the mentors. So it was a challenge in just setting up communication, setting up a common place where we would host the data. But with Esoc staff, we were able to set those up very quickly in the first couple of weeks and move on to actually working with the data sets. We also met with the mentors quite frequently. So in the beginning, more frequently, more like once in 2 weeks. But then towards the end, when we got a better hang of the project, we met like once a month. And we would constantly be in communication over Slack and make code releases on GitHub. So whenever, say, the mentor spotted an issue with our code or had feedback, they would be able to communicate immediately, and we would correct those problems and make another code release. So yeah, the experience itself was great, and I personally learned a lot. And like, since this happened during the pandemic, I would say it was probably one of the best things that happened to me during the pandemic. I got to learn so much about, like, I got introduced to this field, and now I know what are the ways forward in this field, and also was able to contribute to a real world problem. So in particular, like, if you want to know more about DeepJeff, you can visit the GitHub repository. It's on the Esoc page at Wildfire Forecasting. And the premise of our project was that ECMWF currently has existing systems to measure wildfire danger and predict it. But these systems were developed a couple of decades ago, in the 90s, and written in Fortran, and they don't necessarily leverage the latest and greatest developments in, say, machine learning, advancements in AI, in geographical information systems. So that's where we came in, and we decided that first, what we're going to do is we're going to figure out what these indices are. So we specified, the proposal specified the fire weather index and fire radiative power. These are the two indices that we are going to decide to forecast better. And then we developed a timeline and a set of goals that first we're going to reproduce the existing system, and then we're going to improve it. So these were the list of goals. We also had we also had a timeline. So the first couple of months was just procuring the data, cleaning it up, wrangling it, making a prototype model. And then towards August or September, we decided to, say, improve the accuracies, refactor the code base, allow improvements and extensions of features. And then finally, last month was just documentation, preparing reports, presentations, and wrapping up the project essentially. Um, a quick look at our results. So the model that we developed was a neural network model in the style of a UNet. We got accuracies in the range of 70 to 90% for 10 days of prediction, which was in line with what we had set out to develop. A pictorial demonstration of these predictions are here. This was one of our case studies, which we performed on the wildfire season of Australia in 2019. So this kind of gives a visual demonstration of the FWI index when projected on a map. Also, our first goal was to reproduce the existing predictions. So we were able to benchmark with existing solutions. And the line graph here represents the existing solution, and the bars are what we developed. So we were also able to perform as well, if not better than the existing solution. So that was also very exciting. The key takeaways were that we realized that the cleaning and pre-processing is, at least in this geospatial field, is very important, and probably even more difficult than the actual machine learning development. It takes a lot of time to make sure that all the input features are in the right resolution, they have the right feature names, and they're all compatible with the system. The nuances in metrics are very important. One anecdote that I can share is, first, when we created the prototype model, we were getting like 95% accuracy, 90% accuracy. We were all very happy. But then when we spoke to our mentors, they said that maybe you should have a more closer look at the metrics and see if you split up the FWI into various different bins and look at the higher values and the lower values and which one is performing better. You'll see that there are more nuances that you should also pay attention to rather than just the top level numbers. So that was quite useful guidance. We also realized that writing good quality code is more important than getting quick results, because later on, when we needed to, say, add a new feature, then if the code is not good, or if it was developed by somebody else and not documented, then the other person is not able to quickly add the feature. So it's very important that documentation is in place. And we had fun. We had a very good time throughout the course of the 4 months of the coding phase. And I highly recommend the ESoC program. We got to learn a lot, worked with so many brilliant scientists and engineers at Ecmwf. We got a taste of open source, we made impactful contributions, and I sharpened my skills in both software engineering and just managing the project in general with all these different team members in different places. So I highly recommend the program, and I hope that I wish you good luck in creating your application, and I hope you have a good time developing good innovative software with Esoc.
Thank you so much, Roshni. And it was really a pleasure to have you in the Esoc last year.
Thank you.
And so basically, if you have any questions to Roshni, you can, I think Roshni, you will be still on the call until the Q&A session. So then you can also ask any question you have to Roshni during the Q&A. And now I would open the floor to Timo Kelder. So Timo, if you're there, the floor is yours, and very warm welcome, and thank you for being with us today as well.
Thank you, Julia, and thanks for the invitation. Great to be here and great to share my experience and as well to hear them from Roshni. I think I get excited myself to reapply after hearing Roshni here. So let me share my presentation of the work we've been developing. It's called Unseen Open. So a little bit of an introduction about me. I'm a PhD student, and during my PhD, I saw Esoc on Twitter, and yeah, I was really excited by the open source development and contributing to a project that anyone could reproduce and could use. So then I also heard from another participant of Esoc 2019 that was really positive about it and excited. So that's how I got to it and applied. And I applied to make a workflow about Unseen. Let me just give you a really short introduction about what this is. So this is a method where you look at extreme events and climate risks. So Unseen is the idea that within your observational record, you might only have a few extremes in, for example, 40 years, whereas using simulations, you might simulate many more kind of extremes and therefore better understand what kind of climate risks might occur. So we been developing this reproducible workflow where these were my main activities to retrieve, pre-process, and evaluate the ensemble. So, for example, we did a case study for the Siberian heat wave. So last year, Siberian heat wave was very anomalous, and that led to permafrost thawing and to local wildfires. And yeah, I was really excited to contribute to this problem and see how we could estimate the occurrence of this kind of event, whereas you cannot really estimate them from a record because this event was unprecedented, never occurred before. So the output of my project was to create documentation so you could repeat the things we did for any other kind of extreme anywhere in the world. So my main output was a read the docs documentation. You could have a look at it at unseenopen readthedocs.io. And I think here, this also shows the kind of the difference to Roshni, where they really developed DeepCaf, so this machine learning model to forecast fires, whereas we were mainly focusing on reproducible notebooks that were focused on end users to retrieve the data and pre-process it, evaluate it. And one tip I got when I was writing my proposal is what I've written here as proposal tip, is to include a feasible planning with clear outputs, like Julia said, but also to have key outputs and additional outputs. So for example, for retrieval, the key output was to write this function to retrieve the data, but then an additional output would be to include this function on the CDS toolbox. So this was something that we could have done, but we didn't have the time to do it in the end. And therefore it was feasible to just only perform the retrieval. Whereas, for example, under evaluate, the key output was to evaluate different tests, but this additional output was to create an R package, which we did manage to do. So let me show you a bit about the Siberian heat wave that we studied. So this shows a time series on the left plot of the Siberian extreme heat with the blue crosses in reanalysis data. And the 2020 event was much higher than any of the events before. And then unseen shows all the model simulations that were run. This indicates you have many more kind of extreme events in your model simulations than you have within the reanalysis. On the right shows one of the evaluation tests. So this evaluation test shows that, for example, the mean of the simulations is lower than error 5. And something really interesting here, I think, is that I produced these kind of plots, the technical code and the statistical evaluation. But then there's a lot of knowledge at ESmwf. So Julia referred me to someone else within ESmwf that could help me understand why this was happening and why there might be a bias. So I think that is also a really great benefit, that there's so much knowledge within ESmwf that you can use, and that everyone is happy to help you with your problem. A little bit about the output. So what does this mean for the Siberian heat? This plot shows the likelihood of occurrence on the x-axis, and then the magnitude of an event on the y-axis. So it shows that the 2020 event is the line with the magnitude above 0, which has caused this permafrost thawing. And then within the simulations, those black dots, there have been many events that almost reach the magnitude of what we have observed. And therefore you have many kind of case studies, virtual case studies, where you can assess the drivers. And also you can explore the forecast scale. So in the future, you might be able to have an early warning of these kind of events. Then back to you, please submit your questions so we can answer them. And the most obvious question, would I recommend Esoc? Definitely. Why? First thing, great supervision. So we met every other week, and I think always I got a lot of excitement from these meetings where I love the open source development, but also had a really steep learning curve. For example, I have never produced an R package, and I had not written read the docs documentation. So I've learned a lot and had a really steep learning curves over the months. And as well, it's a really supportive environment, I would say. So whenever I did not know something or didn't know how to do something, you can always ask for help. And yeah, there's a lot of expertise at ESmwf. So with that, I want to conclude and ask you to submit your questions so we can answer them. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Timo. And yes, and this brings us now to the final part of today's Ask Me Anything session, the Q&A. And this is now your part, so you can ask any question you have to Roshni, to Timo, or to Esperanza and myself. We also have some mentors online, so if you have a specific question to some challenges, there could be also opportunity that you could get a direct response from the mentors and the persons or the people who proposed the challenge itself. I just share my screen and to see if we already have some questions already on Slido. So again, slido.com and then enter the hashtag Esoc, and then you can ask your question. And yeah, then I would start with the first on top. The first question is, how much time one should spend a day to work in a coding phase? It is full time or it is up to me, and main goal is to get working project at the end. I probably say like a comment from us, Esoc itself, but then probably also Timo and Roshni can shortly say how much time they spend on the Esoc project, and then you probably get a better idea. So from the Esoc perspective, we don't give any guidelines that you say that you have to at least, I don't know, part-time or 80% be involved in this project. It is really up to you in how you how you want to work with the project. And if you say that you can meet the deadlines or the deliverables and the milestones as you agreed with your mentors while only working during weekends or part-time or during night, this is really up to you, and we don't set any specific time or hour estimations. I don't know, Roshni and Timo, would you like to give your experience?
Hey, yeah, sure. So for me, I think I worked full time for most of it, except for the first month where I also had another project running. So that's also the same question I asked last year, whether that was all right. So as long as you plan it and you make sure you can reach your deliverables, I think that worked really well for me. Roshni?
So for Deep Jeff, we were a team of 3, and it was very well distributed among the 3 of us. So I think the load on individual people was a bit less. We were all working on it part-time. And the load also varied like throughout the 4 months. Towards the beginning, it was a little more involved, and since we were working very closely with the data, but once the initial prototype was in phase, we just spent like as much time as we had and how much the goals needed, that's all.
Thank you, Roshni and Timo. And I think this answers your question. So it's really depending on the project and also on you, how much time you have, and also how much time you need in order to meet the project or your proposal you submitted. Then the next question is, what is the level of experience in machine learning you require for a challenge, such as challenge number 21, machine learning to improve CAM's global air quality forecasts? I think Johannes and Mia are online. Would you like to give a short response to this question?
Yes, I can give a short response. So thank you for the question. I think we expect sort of some expertise in machine learning, but what is important for us is really that it's about the application. So it's about a forecast, and I think great care should be given to the validation of your approach. So we don't want to have any overfitting. We want to make sure that the machine learning approach really helps us in the prediction of air quality forecasting. So application of machine learning, I think, is what we want. I don't know whether Miha wants to add something at this point.
No, I think that's fine. Yeah.
Yes, and for this, if I just jump to the next question, which is also about number 21. So we are very pleased that people are interested in this challenge, of course, so thank you. As I said, it's about air quality forecasting. So what we want to see is basic metrics like the bias, RMSE, but also maybe that would be then a second step, that the forecast of specific high pollution events is improved. So it would be then forecasting of the higher percentiles in the distribution. But it should be very standard kind of metrics, what we want to see, and we can discuss this further either in the preparation or once we decide what we want to do to be more specific about the metrics, but nothing too fancy. But think about it as a forecasting application.
Thank you, Johannes. For now, I think there's another question related to your challenge, but we can then also come back because there are quite a few questions, and I just ask you later on again to switch on your microphone. Okay, the next question is, how is the mentor's involvement in the project code development? And yeah, like this is really also depending on each project, because in the end you will form a team. Oh, sorry, this question here, I just think this is here. You form a team during these 4 months, and we have different setups of each team. So as Timo said, like, yeah, the team worked like and met every 2 weeks on a regular basis in order to discuss progress and some specific challenges or problems. Other teams, for example, last week, Milan was saying that for them it worked better to be more asynchronous. So they worked a lot via Slack and didn't have so many face-to-face meetings. So in the end, the mentors, they are involved in the projects, but not really in the code development. It is more on guiding you and helping you with some challenges specifically you have for, I don't know, ESmwf specifics or data. So it's really depending on your challenge and your problem. But not like heavy support with really also code development. But of course, reviewing code and guiding you for the individual next steps and if challenges arise. I hope this helps to the question, or this responds to the question. Yeah, so the next question is the age of the team making the proposal a criterion take into account for selection? No, so there is basically you have to be 18 in order to be eligible to apply and be part of ESmwf Summer of Weather Code. But other than that, it is no factor at all. So because Esoc is really about your skills, and also we really aim for high quality projects. And also, this is what I want to say is also we're really interested in your results, because many of the previous Esoc projects are now integrated into ESmwf work operations and teams. And so there's really also an interest from ESmwf and the mentors to have a feasible and good outcome. And so if you have, so we had, I think 2 years ago, we had a high school student who just turned 18, but who had the necessary skills for the specific challenge. And so age is no criteria at all. So it's just, it is really the skills you have and the proposal you submit. I could really, so there's one question, I could really help if I can review some draft example proposals of earlier challenges. It is the first time for me drafting such proposals. This is this is more like a proposal or for us, and I will take it into account, and I think we can share, like not like the real proposals from teams, but like an example outline where you can see, like, yeah, how you could that can help you to structure your proposal. So I think this is what we can do, and we will then link it on GitHub on the main challenges page, and we probably also notify you on the issues if this is helpful. But again, what I already said at the beginning, really be short in your descriptions, and aim for no longer than 4 pages or 6 pages. So it's not about the length, it's really about being short, concise, and precise in what you propose. But we will share a example outline which helps you. Then for the challenge 22, where the proxy data should come from, open access database, or are there specific database to look for? I have to look for challenge number 22. I think the mentor today is not online. So this is basically a really good question for GitHub. So if you have this question, I really recommend you to go on GitHub and post this question to GitHub, and then the mentors will pick it up and respond to it. So unfortunately, the mentors are not here today, but go to GitHub and respond and ask this question, and you will get your response. Okay. Okay, the next question is, when your team members are in different time zones, which can be difficult to manage, so is it just up to me and my team members how we can work and manage? I think Roshni already said it. So they also had a team which were in 3 different time zones. It is really up to you and your team members to organize you. Probably Roshni, I don't know, would you like to say some sentences about how you organized yourself and what helped you maybe to work across different time zones?
Sure, yeah. So I think it was actually quite productive that 3 of us were working around the clock, basically. And we distributed the tasks so that there's no overlapping sections. It was also very useful that we had one person who would be the point of contact between our mentors and the team, so that everybody would always be on the same page and there was just no confusion, only one person communicating. We also we decided on one time and set up a recurring meeting every 2 weeks to meet with the mentors. So it wasn't a problem to try to find a common time every single time. So yeah, it was not a challenge for us, and I don't think it should be very difficult to manage.
Thank you, Roshni. And okay, good. Then we go to the next question. In challenge number 23, we have the skilled team, but not any EU citizen. Can ESmwf help us with this? So yeah, so there are on GitHub, if you browse through the challenges, you see some challenges, specific terms and conditions are applied. And this is related to challenges related to Copernicus. And and at the moment, yes, so any challenge which is funded by Copernicus, it is only eligible for EU citizens. You could, so there in the end, it would be also eligible if, for example, only one team member is an EU citizen. So this could be also one workaround. And we will give you also some updates regarding this on GitHub and on some specific on the challenges itself in the next weeks. But this could be one solution in order for you to also apply. Okay. Then there's a question: will the licenses of codes developed be transferred to ESmwf? So in the terms and conditions, you also see a one paragraph related. So the code you develop is basically, it is your intellectual property, and you will have the license. But for any code you develop, you also grant an unlimited license to ESmwf. So this means you still own it, but you give rights to ESmwf to be able to use it. This is the licensing agreement for ESmwf SumOfEther code. But I refer you to go to our website, and then the terms and conditions, and there you see a specific paragraph regarding the licenses. Okay, now Johannes, it's your turn again. There's another question regarding the challenge 21. Can one assume that the data is representative for the corresponding area?
Okay, that's a good question. I'm not 100% sure whether this refers, though the data refers to the observations or to the model, but the representativeness is definitely something which needs to be considered. So our thinking at the moment is that you will develop a correction formula, so to say, for each individual station, and then the correction from the model forecast to this corrected forecast at the station could correct any errors with respect to representativeness of this particular station. I'm not sure whether I was clear enough, but we can discuss this in more detail. But getting the representativeness right is part of the challenge.
Thank you, Johannes. And then we go on to the next question. How the mentors and experts of ESmwf will guide the project? Will they meet every other week to make sure the progress of the project? So I think this is similar to some questions we already responded to. So important for Esoc is really that ESmwf and Copernicus, we also have an interest in your development and in the project. So because the reason why we propose these challenges, that there is a need from ESmwf and Copernicus to have these developments and these projects. And so, of course, also the mentors and ESmwf experts, they have the interest to see how the project is evolving and also to support you if there are any challenges. And from the last years, and as Timo and Roshni also were saying, that probably you will also meet like at the beginning more often, because this is also the phase where you form the team, where you get to know the mentors and the mentors get to know you. And then within the 4 months, you will like a system that works for your mentors and for you as a team will evolve. And I think this is the most important thing. So there's nothing put in stone that you will meet every week and you have to deliver progress reports. But at the same time, at the beginning, you define together with your mentors the deliverables and the milestones of the project, just because it helps you and also the mentors to follow up and also to address any challenges if any challenges are coming up, and also to make sure that you will come to the result you actually aiming for. And so it's really depending on the team and you also yourself, how you work best together. Okay. Then the next question, is it possible for the same team to submit 2 projects for 2 different challenges? Yes, there is no limit to submit more than 1 proposal for different challenges. At the same time, we think that, or the experience from other years is also, it's usually better if you focus on 1 challenge and you really then start also engaging on GitHub, asking questions, and you focus on 1 challenge and try to make 1 proposal tailored and good for 1 challenge. But of course, it is up to you. If you think you have the capacity and also the skills to submit 2 projects for 2 different challenges, then you're more than welcome to do so. Okay, then the next question, since 10 projects will be selected, it means that not all the challenges will be covered. Exactly. So we have 13 challenges and up to 10 projects will be selected. And in the end, it is, it really, we also match the pool of proposals we get, because sometimes we get many proposals for 1 specific challenge and no proposal for another challenge. But this gives us the flexibility also to see which proposals we fund. For example, last year there was also the case that we had 2 very good proposals for 1 challenge, and then we funded, or we invited these two teams working on the same challenge, but with a slightly different focus and scope of the challenge. So this could be also an option, and this gives us in the end a flexibility to really evaluate the entire pool of the proposals we receive. But in the end, up to 10 projects will be part of ESmwf Summer of Weather Code. Okay, the next question is a question for Climate Lab. I'm not sure if Eddie is still online. He was some minutes ago, but if he's online, it would be good maybe if you can respond to it. There are 3 tasks listed in the GitHub issue. What would the mentors like to see in the proposal? Eddie, are you still online? Probably not. It doesn't.
Got the wrong Eddie.
Yes, okay.
I am Eddie, but you need the other Eddie who started recently. I'm the Eddie from the CDS.
Okay, yes, sorry. Okay, good. Okay, good. So then this is basically also a question for GitHub. So please go there and ask the same question also on on GitHub, and then you will get your response. Okay. And there's also Climate Lab Part 2, one covering all 3 tasks, or maybe 2 out of 3. Exactly. The person who asked this, please go to GitHub and ask the same question you ask here also on GitHub, and then you will get your response. And I think this is also the same. The same applies also for the next question. Would you like to see which team member is going to work on what part? Exactly. Go the same response, go to GitHub and ask the question, and then you get really your response you need. And then we have a question. Will we have access to complete ECMWF datasets, for example, ERA5 datasets? So deep learning models need big datasets, and downloading via CDS API takes a long time. So this is basically, this is also depending on the project, which you will discuss with your mentors at the beginning. There are some options. So we are also aware some projects need to be able to work with many with large volumes of data, and also need specific processing tasks at processing facilities. And this is why we also give some options to have access to cloud credits on Wikio or on the European Weather Cloud. And these are then questions on really what you will discuss with your mentors right at the beginning, how to make the data best accessible, and in what way, and what is actually the best option for you to work on your challenge. So this is something, if you are selected to work on the challenge and you need access to large volumes of data, then the mentors will discuss it with you how to tackle this problem best. And then we have one final question. Can team members write a research paper based on the code developed during the Esoc? Do we need to take permission from ESmwf for this? This is basically, I think it is encouraged, because in the end, yes, if it is a nice research outcome, then ESmwf is also a research organization, and your mentors probably also would be much in favor to help you in writing the paper. And this, I wouldn't say that you need permission from ESmwf, but I think this is something really nice to discuss also with your mentors together, because the mentors are then also mostly interested in actually working together on this paper and publishing the research results. And we have currently some research papers are currently in development from last year's Esoc team. So I think this is a very nice opportunity also to team up with your mentors and work on this together. Okay, I think on Slido we don't have any question left. Ruben, do we have any questions on Zoom?
Not in the chat and not in the Q&A chat, so we should be done for today.
Okay, good. So then, yes, thank you so much all for joining today and also showing interest in ESmwf Esoc weather code. As I said, for now, I really invite you to go to GitHub and ask any questions you have on the challenges, because this really helps you to tailor your proposals. And then we're looking forward to your proposals. A reminder, the deadline for proposal submissions is the 16th of April, 2021. And thank you again for joining today. And I wish you a nice evening, day, morning, and afternoon. And goodbye.